everybody. Welcome to tonight's version of Physicians on Call. We are so happy that you're here with us at Hippocrates Docs. Our mission is to help you change just one habit at a time to adopt a healthier lifestyle and increase your quality of life. Because we know that changing habits and lifestyle is daunting without support. We're very happy to have with us tonight Dr. Michael Goldberg, who's here with us all the way from Israel. What time is it there, Michael?
3 a.m.
3 a.m. We're so happy that you're here. Dr. Michael Goldberg's topic tonight is water, the natural harmonizer. And his challenge for you is to drink more of it. So with great pleasure, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Michael Goldberg. So tell us about yourself.
So, good evening, everyone. It's all the way from Israel. We're broadcasting. And it's 3 a.m. here. How many people are connected? You can see it?
We have 6 or more.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I would like to know if there are any questions later on. It's very important for me after giving the information that to see what are the personal interests, personal questions coming up.
We definitely will have questions for you at the end. Some have already come in.
Yeah.
So tell us about your passion with water and how you feel this is so important for the body.
So I came across a few years ago Dr. Batman Gelich's book, You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. Maybe 10 years ago, I think, something like that. And I found it fascinating because it was so simple what he mentioned. His story, which is very interesting, is Iranian in origin. And some time back, I don't remember the exact details because I read it a long time ago, the Iranian regime put him in prison for his work, because of his work and the politics. And during his stay in prison, many people would come to him with medical problems. And he didn't have anything on him. And he gave them water and told them, you know, this is what I can do for you, and start, drink it. And the people got ease from pain. They got, he saw that water is doing a lot of good things for them. And he started thinking about it. And he realized that a lot of people are actually dehydrated in the normal state because we don't drink enough water. And this is what got him into the whole field. And he did a long lifetime practice, I think, maybe 25 years of this kind of a thing. He was treating his patients like that.
Interesting. So that led you to maybe exploring whether or not your patients also may be suffering from dehydration?
Definitely. Anything that I come across, I always cross-check. I check on myself and I research it heavily before I can suggest to someone else. And you can find in many references around the world about drinking water. In yoga, you have some certain practices in the morning to drink the water. So many things are correlated between different, you know, streams of input, you can say, or I found the correlations in many different areas for the same thing. So I said, okay, this is something that we should take care. And it's also so simple, you know, because drinking water generally, in general terms, is a safe habit. Only people who have some medical issue should take more care. Otherwise, it's a very safe practice and it has a lot of benefits as well.
So you and he found that the patients actually got better. So some of the issues that they came to him with or came to you with were actually reversed. They were just totally dehydration, not something more serious.
Absolutely. Well, total dehydration and chronic dehydration is a very serious matter. It's not that we can take it lightly, you know. And he showed reversal of peptic ulcer, of a lot of pains in the body, and many chronic conditions. He showed very good results with only drinking more water. That's the main point I wanted to make. There was no lifestyle change or something else, no diet change. Only with drinking water he achieved great results. So that only shows us how much we don't drink enough and the power of the method. Of course, diet and lifestyle are very crucial factors, but he showed that only by changing this parameter you can achieve great results. I think you should, of course, do more, but that just shows, you know, the power of the water and how much we need it and how much we actually don't drink enough of.
That's right. Well, talk a little bit about the place you trained earlier this year, where I had the pleasure of meeting you. I mentioned that I had met you in Santa Rosa, California earlier this year. Talk about your experience there, please.
Definitely, thank you. So 3.5 years ago, I came across one video of Dr. McDougall with Dr. Goldhammer talking about fasting. And I didn't know much about it. But Dr. McDougall mentioned in that short video that his difficult patients he sent to True North. I said, okay, this is the place to visit. And I looked it up and I saw what miracles they're doing and I understood what kind of work they're doing. And it took me 3 years to organize my life in a way so I could go and visit and train there under their superb guidance and kindness in water fasting supervision. So it's medically supervised water fast, which means that people drink only water for an extended period of time for health benefits. And the center in Santa Rosa is the biggest center in the world actually for the medically supervised water-only fasting today. They have more than 30 years experience. They have around 50 to 60 patients in any given time there. And the things that I saw there were just, I was amazed. I always tell my friends when I came back and I speak to people about it, when the opportunity comes up. The first time that I really understood what was going on was on the Monday. They have the staff meeting every Monday, the doctor's meeting. So all the medical staff comes and we discuss, we talk about the patients. Okay, I just came on Friday evening. I was heavily jet lagged. I was really tired. I'm not really up to the meetings usually. I don't like the staff meetings. And so, okay, I was sitting there, you know, and they started going over the patient data. And I was seeing the spreadsheet with all the patients' parameters and vitals. And I was just shocked of what I was seeing, you know. Okay, the first patient that mentioned something about blood pressure normalizing. I said, okay, this is like a fluke, you know, because I never seen a patient normalize blood pressure without medication. So I said, okay, they had good luck. And then the next patient, the same thing. And the next patient, the same. And my jaw just dropped, you know. I knew what they were doing theoretically, but I witnessed medical miracles, you know, and that was something that I cherish, you know, and if I did not see it with my own eyes, I would have trouble and difficulty imagining that such a place is doing, you know, this kind of work with consistent results, safely. and with very sustainable prices. And the people that I met there were just fantastic, the staff and also the patients. Everyone is very like-minded, which is very refreshing for me because I feel in my daily practice that I'm swimming against the current. And here everyone was talking the same language, everyone on the same page. It was quite amazing. And yeah, the training there was very hands-on. We were taught how to supervise the water-only fasting patients, which now we can do by ourselves. And I met some really great people there, and I'm in touch until today.
That's great. So did you take some of the practices back with you to Israel then? And have you had the pleasure of fasting with some patients?
Absolutely. First of all, I had the great opportunity to work with naturopaths and chiropractors, which I never had the opportunity to work with. In Israel, it is available, but it's not very, very popular, I would say. And I never had the opportunity to work together in one team. That was, again, something that I really appreciated and admired, that everyone in the meeting was on goal, on point towards the patient's benefits. Everyone was working together and contributing. There was no ego conflicts between the different professions. Everyone was working together, and that I found fantastic, and I never saw before.
That's really neat. Neat. So what do you tell your patients now that you're back into private practice and working there about how much water they should be drinking, and how will they monitor if they're getting enough water?
Yeah, so I can talk in general terms because these things we have to adjust to every person by his needs, by his medical condition. So like the presentation, I can only say something which is in general guidelines. If some of the audience here have some specific questions, we can address that. Otherwise, we have to keep it very in a simple format, because that should be custom made for the patient, just like the diet and just like the lifestyle. Everyone has a different life situation, different availability of time, resources. So I just want to say this is like, I don't want people getting confused and getting some ideas. Any changes should be monitored by the primary care physicians and discussed before starting. This is the disclaimer, just to have everyone on board. Basically, we start the day as we wake up drinking 2 glasses of water, or like a warm temperature, like room temperature, and we drink it slowly, these 2 glasses. This is basically changing from the night time when the body is eliminating. So this is finalizing the elimination process. It gives the hydration the body needs, because we're usually getting up quite dehydrated. People may notice it when they go in the morning to the toilet or during the night, that the urine is quite dark, and they have the typical smell of the urine. So that's an indication that we're not drinking enough. So opening the day with 2 glasses of lukewarm water is a very good start for the day, and it gives the body the chance also to wake up. There are studies showing that it's more powerful to drink water than coffee in the morning, for example. I don't know how many coffee drinkers we have online, but a recent study that came out maybe 1 year ago or 6 months ago showed that drinking coffee, for example, before 10 a.m. is actually not beneficial and counterproductive for the people if they want to wake up, actually. It's something to do with the hormonal cycles in the morning. I don't want to get into very technical details, but basically we have a normal waking up hormones that work to wake up the body, and they work on a rhythmical diuretic, diurnal, means that it works on a daily basis according to the normal waking up time, the light around us, and our internal clock, let's say. So that's a good point, actually, and I like to mention it about coffee. If we replace the first thing that we drink in the morning with water, so that can really jumpstart our day because it gives us actually what the body needs. It has a soothing and relaxing effect as well as waking up. And I really advise people to think about what they're putting inside the body first thing in the morning, because the coffee is highly acidic and very exciting for the body. And the coffee doesn't give us extra energy. It's not an energy drink as such. Coffee has a very interesting effect on the body. It gives the user, as we are using the body, it gives access to energy which is actually reserved for other functions. And it's a reserve that we tap into by drinking the coffee. So we're just depleting our emergency, let's say, or background reserve, like maintenance kind of power for doing things behind the scenes. So replacing this habit by drinking water will actually give us all the benefits we're looking for. We'll also wake up, we'll be more fresh, we'll be hydrated, and if people eat in the morning, so half an hour before any meal, it's very beneficial to drink 1 glass or 2 glasses of water because that prepares the gastrointestinal system, the digestive system, for accepting all the nutrients. It will calm any ulcer or such kind of issues, which are again basically dehydration states. The lining of the gastrointestinal tract is highly changeable. It's the cells. These are the cells that change the most in the body. Every 2 days, the cells change there, because we have the interaction of food that we eat. If we eat things that can damage the lining, like alcohol, other toxins, chemicals, food dyes, so many things, drugs, even prescription drugs. So these cells are the ones which are replaced the most and fastest in the body. And drinking water just gives this membrane that is protecting us from the outside world, the power and the strength to work, and also to do its job of conveying the things which float inside the digestive system and getting them into the body. So we have much better interaction. Everything is done through the water medium. That's really important to understand. All the chemistry and all the body's metabolism is working through water, basically.
I think it's very fascinating. So you just mentioned alcohol. So
Yeah.
will water consumption actually help to take away the negative effects of alcohol consumption in those who maybe suffer from ulcers because of alcohol consumption? Do you find that that's also a useful way to combat that?
So let's say that I always try to go to the source and eliminate from the source what's the problem.
Right.
I don't believe in patchwork, and I have a lot of problems giving people prescription drugs because I try to do everything else before. In my work in the emergency room, I don't have so much leeway and time to do it, but I always give some tips for lifestyle that people can accommodate and can accept, like drinking more water, changing to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. So I always go to the source. So I would say that people who still have this idea that alcohol has some beneficial factor, it's absolutely false. It has been shown that alcohol is toxic for the body. It's a liver toxic, basically, liver toxin. And although there was some research that drinking 1 glass of red wine a day may have some beneficial factors, the doctors from the plant-based world, they always say, and I say I agree with them for 100%, that we can drink we can eat the grapes if we want to have the benefits of wine.
Right.
So we can have the benefits without the detrimental effects of alcohol. Yeah, definitely. So if someone chooses to drink, of course, I'm not the judge, and that's their own agenda and choice, and I absolutely respect it. So yes, drinking before they drink any alcohol is very beneficial. Of course, it will again give the lining the proper thickness, the water will be absorbed there and can do its work. And of course, people who suffer from problems in the gastrointestinal tract, in the GI tract, like ulcers, so the water is giving the protection again, because the GI tract is producing some special kind of a lining, okay, which protects from the very acidic conditions in the stomach. The stomach has a pH of around 2, okay, 1 to 2. It's very hardcore hydrochloric acid working there to break down the food that we eat and things we drink. And there is a special lining, a special like a slime, let's say, in a very basic term, that is produced by these cells, which lines the whole. Sorry.
I hope that's water you're drinking.
Of course. Yeah. I definitely practice what I preach. This is something very important for me.
So you were talking about the lining that protects the stomach because of the high acid value. So that the water actually helps increase that lining. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. First of all, we have to understand that the GI tract is actually considered external environment. So from mouth to anus, okay, when we go to the toilet, all this tract along the way, which starts in the esophagus, then goes to the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and then goes out. This is all considered external environment. Although it's inside our body, it's external environment. And we treat that when we have this very similar mechanisms like the skin. We have a lot of defense mechanisms on this lining. The lining is very, very thin. Okay, we have to understand that. So when people damage it, we can get to a condition which is called leaky gut syndrome. Sorry. And the mucus that is produced in this by the cells there is basically water, and then the cells are adding things that protect. They are mixing the things and secreting the mucus that protects the lining against all the toxins, the high acidity that we have, which is produced by the body for digestion. like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have some questions that have been coming in.
Yes, definitely.
What is the process to bring someone back from severe and mild dehydration?
So first of all, we have to say and give the specific terminology of what the dehydration is, and just explain what the situation is, because we have different stages of dehydration, I would say. According to Dr. Batman, as his patients like to call him, people are in a chronic dehydrated state, which means that their net intake of water is less than what the body is needing actually every day, what is necessary for normal optimal maintenance. So dehydration is a state that we don't have enough water in the body, and the body is not a simple machine like we like to think many times. People think that, okay, I will take one drug, everything will be okay, you know, I'm cured, everything is fine, or I will eat something and it will have some effect, or there is a lot of debate about micro management of things and people talking about one nutrient and one thing only. The body is a very complex mechanism, and it's not like a simple test tube in the chemistry lab that we put two things together, we mix it up, and we have one specific reaction. The body has a lot of internal intelligence, I would say, which actually creates the healing effects that we see around us. So basically, no doctor ever healed any patient. We basically, the best thing we can do is create the environment for the body to do its own work of healing. We can reduce the danger of infection. We can give the fluids. We can give we create the environment in which the healing may take place in the best way. We can isolate and make the patient comfortable for the body to do its own thing. Yeah, so about the dehydration, we have a lot of water loss during the day. We lose water through breathing. Everyone knows if we sit in the car in a cold day, we get mist on the windows. This mist is coming from the breath. So we have quite a lot of water that we lose from through the breath, sorry. We have water loss through the skin, of course, through evaporation and sweating. That's a very basic mechanism to regulate the body's temperature. Even with, when we don't notice it, if the air is very dry, so we will not sweat a lot because the sweat will evaporate very quickly from the skin. So when we may think that we're not sweating a lot at all, but actually we lose quite a lot of water through the evaporation of the skin. In more humid climate, like here in Israel, I live along the coast, very close to Tel Aviv. We have more than 95% humidity, so everyone is, you can see everyone is sweating because the sweat is not leaving the body and the skin very easily. So it's quite hot, but still the body is not, the water is not evaporating because we have quite a lot of humidity in the air. So we lose water through the digestive system because everything that we go to eliminate in the toilet has to be lubricated. Okay, the water is also the lubricant in the body. It's like the oil in the car. The body uses the water as a lubricant. Sorry, my voice is a little bit, I have to get another glass of water. I'm just coming back.
I'm very grateful that you're sharing this with us at such a morning hour. I don't think you're used to talking this much in the morning, are you?
Exactly. I don't talk too much.
Not while you're sleeping anyway. Well,
Yeah.
Tel Aviv sounds like Houston. We have 96% humidity too, almost all year round. So
Yeah. So we lose water through the digestive system. We lose water through urination. Okay. And when I say lose, it's not that we lose as a negative effect. This is the natural way of things happening, and they have a purpose in the body. Okay. The lungs are very delicate tissue, and they need a lot of humidity to work. And the water is used to humidify the mucus because, again, this is a barrier from the external environment. We need to have all the immune cells working there. Everything has to be very moist in order to have normal function. And so through urination, we lose, again, the water from the body. It's not it's not something negative. It's not a negative effect. When I say lose, it's just that we're depleting the volume of water from the body. Of course, we need to do it because we need to take care of all the toxins that are getting filtered through the kidneys and things that are in excess in order to have a normal function. Something very interesting about water, water needs to be in motion. That's a very basic concept about water. Any water which is standing, if we put a glass of water on the counter in the house, it will become stagnant. Things start to grow in it. It will change the color because it has to be flowing. So again, the thing is, in our world, in the body, we have to drink. We put it in from one side, and it goes out from so many different sides. And along the way, the water is doing its magic in flow, in motion. So the chronic state of dehydration is basically a very stagnant state, and a lot of things are sitting there in the system and not being able to be flushed out because we don't have the resources. The body is working according to the external environment, according to what we eat, according to our internal environment, in terms of what our emotional state is. People who are in stress, they have a higher consumption of fuel, okay, of energy, of food, of nutrients, of water, because the body is working on high alert. Everything is working in a stressed situation, so things are happening in a faster rate and more energy is required. So the body is working harder, let's say. So we need more resources for that. Yeah, so we lose water all the time through the day, even at night when we're sleeping. Some people wake up and they see that they're sweating during the night. Everything is happening. The body is still doing its thing. In the night, most of the hardcore maintenance is done. This is why sleep is such a big factor in health of everyone. And yeah, going back to the point of dehydration. So basically, to take a person which has a deficit in water, it's very easy to replenish. We just start drinking, okay? And I was talking a little bit about what is the best water to drink. So if I go to the highest standard, which is not, I think, very sustainable and not very available for everyone, the best we can drink is spring water, actually, when we take it directly from the source. There are some problems with it. I don't want to get into very fine details. We have to get it to see that the water is clean. There is no contamination of the water by some fungus or some things in the environment. But that's the best water we can drink, because this is coming from the earth. Along the way, it's taking all the minerals that we need, and then we can drink the best water. I think the most practical solution for everyone is to use a good filtration system in the house. So use running water from the tap, which is usually not very, let's say, high quality because of the tubing usually. The pipings are usually very old, and it depends on where. In Israel, we get very good quality from the municipal system, like say from coming in, but the houses are 30 years old. We have metal tubing, which are already rusted in a bad condition, and then we get a lot of things in the water which we don't want. So a good filtration system under the tap is the best option that I came across after my research into this kind of field. So again, I'm not going in too much into that, but we have today, it's very easy to find. I also posted in the article a few companies which I researched and I found that are the best. There are so many out there, it's not a big deal to find something good today.
Great. That was one of the questions that had come in.
Yeah, for the dehydration, I give the long answer. I'm sorry about that, because first of all, it's a little bit because of the time, and also.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding athletes.
Yeah.
Do athletes need to pay particular attention to the amounts of water that they drink?
Yes, of course. So what I gave as a matter of calculation, the body weight in kilograms divided by 35 is the optimal water intake without calculating heavy exercise or environmental factors like heat, okay? Or people who have some issues which are when they're sweating too much, or people who take drugs. This is the very basic and general terms. Of course, sorry?
Does muscle mass come into play?
Everything comes into play, okay? And the best way to see the results is when we urinate. So that's the very basic and easy and low-cost input that we can get. When we go to urinate, and it has to happen around 6 times a day, okay, that's the general term. Again, it changes so much, you know, according to the personal condition of health and routine. But generally speaking, 6 times to urinate, that's the magic number, we can say. And when we go to urinate, we have to see that there is a volume coming out. It's not a few drops, it's not a small amount. The urine is clear, okay? There is no smell, there is no burning sensation when we go to the toilet. And that's the indication that we are hydrated enough. So anything that is not there in the optimal, so indicates that we have a shortage of water. If we go less than 6 times a day, if the urine is concentrated, we see the color, okay, of the urine. It's not that when we are hydrated, that all these things are not coming out. It's just there's more water, so all the things that are coming out, all the waste material is diluted, and we don't have this smell, typical smell. We don't see this color because there's much more water, okay? It's like taking some kind of a colorant, putting in a glass. If we put just a little bit of water, it's very concentrated. If we put a lot, the color will go away. Okay, so the color is there in any case. It's just diluted by the water that's surrounding it.
Can you drink too much water?
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to go back to the athletes and just to answer that point. So people who train or do more physical activity, or people who are sick, all these things are basically stress on the body. The body is working in hyper mode, okay? It's doing much more than usual, okay? And we have to adjust our water intake, food intake, rest, all these factors to accommodate the activity that we're talking about. Okay, and that people who are dealing with the athletes will give the proper input, because that's, again, it's very custom for the person we're talking about. I can't answer exactly. I can just say, of course, that if we're training in a hot environment and we're sweating a lot, so we have to drink much more.
Right.
And one more thing about drinking. One more thing which is very important is not drinking too much in one go. We have to sip the water during the day all the time, and not just down the bottle in one go. Okay, I ran, I don't know, 5 miles. I feel very like dehydrated, and I was sweating a lot, so I just drink 1.5 liters. That's not the best way to do it. Of course, it's good to drink instead of drinking Coca-Cola or beer or whatever sometimes people drink. But we have to drink the water step by step all the time, and not in one go. When we drink the large amount, more than 1 glass or 2 glasses in one time, in one just gulp, so again, it stresses the body, because the body is a very intelligent and fine-tuned organism. And it sees that there is some imbalance, even if it's of a good thing. So it's too much of a good thing, okay? So it will react to it, and it will not allow for the normal metabolism and all the benefits to occur, because it comes in a rush, okay? And we can see it with sick people. If you give someone with heart disease or kidney disease a large amount of water or IV infusion, there will be problems, because the pump, okay, the heart is not working well, or the kidneys, the filtration is one that don't have the capacity to deal with these acute changes, and we will see the result very quickly, and the people will suffer the consequences. So we have to understand that the body is a very intelligent. It suffers a lot of abuse from the drivers, let's say, and manages to carry on 40, 50, 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were not born with the user manual, and this we learn through our life's experience how to take care of it.
So true. Can you talk about the water and microbiome connection? Does our water consumption or lack of water consumption affect our
Definitely.
microbiome?
Definitely, of course. I want to go back on one very important point about drinking too much.
Okay.
I just saw day before yesterday some article in the news. I think it was in the US. One lady did one it was a challenge. They had some like tournament of who can drink the biggest amount and not urinate. And the lady drank 3 gallons of water in a very, very short time. And very shortly after that, she was hospitalized with seizures. She was in a bad state, and people can die from that. We had in Israel some things like that. Some teenagers had a bet. One of them drank 20 liters of water in one go, and he died basically of water poisoning. So definitely we can have too much of a good thing. Everything has to be in a balance in the body, and the balance is the trick. The balance is the thing that all the medical professions are trying to achieve by their input. So, of course, drinking too much can be very dangerous, especially to people who have kidney disease or people who have heart problems. Yeah, that's a real issue, but it's not so easy to get, okay? If we drink according to the guidelines that I gave earlier and we build it up, if someone decides today to drink more water and they don't have a specific medical condition, if you do, please work with your primary care physician about that. If they start drinking more every day and they achieve this goal of body weight in kilograms times 35, and this gives the amount in milliliters for a daily intake. If they start slowly and achieve this goal in 2 to 3 weeks, okay, we give this time for the body to accommodate the changes, there is no issue and we only see the health benefits, okay? But if anyone has some kind of medical condition or they're taking drugs or something like that, they have to do it supervised and in a medically supervised scenario, and not just change something radically, because it can change the metabolism of the drugs. Okay, the body was not handling things very well because it was in a chronic dehydration state. Now it's hydrated, it starts working. Maybe the drugs will be eliminated faster. It changes everything in the body.
That makes sense. It definitely does. So can people count the intake of the high water containing fruits and vegetables toward their daily goal, like watermelon or cucumber or celery, the really particularly high water content fruits and veggies?
Yeah, so I would say that, that it's not an easy answer, yes, no, okay? Again, it depends what we eat, what is our lifestyle, when we eat it, okay? I would say in general guidelines that people who have, they are eating the standard American diet, for example, which is highly processed food containing a lot of salt, okay? So they have to be more careful, and they for sure cannot calculate it in, because we have, the salt is keeping the water in the body, okay? We have to understand this is a very basic and important principle. The salt that we eat, it helps the body to retain the water. Of course, drinking distilled water is not a good practice for every day. We need some minerals in the water that helps the body keep the water. But if we have a high amount of salt intake, so the body will start accumulating the water, because the the salt is retaining the water, and we have a lot of water weight in the body, which is not necessarily a good thing and helping us to be hydrated. Okay, I don't want people to think, okay, I think I'm dehydrated, so I'll have a lot of salt, and then my body will have all this extra water. We see these effects when people fast, for example. There is no salt intake. They dramatically lose a lot of weight in the beginning, which is water weight. They still drink water, but they lose a lot of extra weight because the body is now able to readjust and recalibrate what people do through a bad lifestyle, I would say. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What are your thoughts on coconut water or fresh juices?
Okay. So again, we have to take everything in moderation. For athletes, I'm going back to this point. Coconut water is very good, for example, because it has a very subtle kind of mineral content and sugar. Okay, so I would also replace drinking, not replace, but yes, I would replace the energy drinks or some, you know, things, powders and all these synthetic things with coconut water if someone wants to drink like an electrolyte drink, okay, something that is richer than water. That's a very good practice, actually. And I also take it, I also do that when I exercise. Or after the exercise, again, that's a good way to help the body and recover from the exercise or the heavy work or something like that, lack of sleep, things like that. It's not a health drink as such, I would say, the juices and the coconut water. I would not abuse it, okay? Like anything, we have to take account and do it in moderation. I would not replace the water intake that we need by anything else, not coconut water, not juices, nothing else. The juices are highly rich in sugar, okay? And it's there was some research coming out recently again that it's not a health drink, okay? Even the juicing. When I mean juicing, it means that we take the fluid out and we separate the fiber from the fruit, okay? If we drink a smoothie, which is just blending the things and mixing the ingredient, that's a different story. So juice is basically extracting the liquids with the sugar and taking away all the fiber and the other things the fruits contain, the vegetables, whatever. And that again is it's a stressor for the body because we're getting something which is refined. It's not natural. It's not occurring naturally in the in nature. Okay, and the body has to manipulate it and do a lot of things to keep the status quo and manage it. So it's like a shot. It's like energy. It's like coffee. It's something that is very highly concentrated. It has some effect on the body, but it's not a health drink as such. I would not replace it with the water. It's containing a lot of sugars and fast sugars, not like coming with the fiber and everything, which slows the digestion. It's it's not a health food, let's say.
Interesting.
It's good to drink, of course. It's nice. We can have a drink, 1 or 2 glasses a day. Again, according to the condition. For example, a lot of old people like to drink grapefruit juice. And we see even patients bring into the hospital the bottle of the grapefruit juice. But the grapefruit juice acts in the liver and it can disturb the metabolism of drugs, certain drugs. So that's not a good habit. And we have to tell these people, we know that you like it, we know that you're drinking for so many years, but it's disturbing the metabolism of your medication. So you have to be careful with that.
Interesting.
Would apple cider vinegar do the same thing
As what?
as the grapefruit juice?
No, the grapefruit juice, it just has some very specific effect on the liver. There are some enzymes which are responsible. It's a complex of enzyme which is responsible for some metabolism in the body. And it works on the same enzymes which some certain drugs work.
Ah, okay.
And alcohol as well. So when we drink grapefruit juice, we give something for these enzymes to work on, and then the drugs can stay longer in the system, the alcohol stays longer in the system, okay, because it's not eliminated. The facilities, the enzymes that work to degrade it are occupied by this substance, and then things are staying longer in the system. That's why people mix alcohol with grapefruit juice, for example. Okay, because then the effect of the alcohol can stay longer in the system if people want that. So that's a way to do it. The alcohol will have a longer effect because the enzymes in the liver are occupied with the grapefruit juice.
So what is your take on apple cider vinegar in the water?
Okay, so that's a little bit different, totally different subject. Apple cider vinegar is absolutely amazing substance. And again, we have to treat it as a drug, as something that we take and take it, you know, precautiously and not abused. It's been shown that any kind of vinegar, but let's say apple cider vinegar, which is a good example, is good for weight loss. Okay, people who drink it or mix it into the salad or drink it in water or even drink it straight but in small amounts, they have a good effect of weight loss because it accelerates the metabolism basically. If we talk about weight loss, or generally speaking, we have something which is called the basal metabolic rate. What it means that, like when we start the car, if we stay in the parking and we're in neutral and we don't touch anything, so there is some level that the engine is working, minimal level that everything is happening, and the body is, this is the basal metabolic rate. So something which is working all the time. It's quite, not constant, it's quite, how to say? Anyway, there is some kind of level of activity happening. And then we add to this basal metabolic rate things like drugs, things like activity, things like genetics, things like age. Okay, these factors change the metabolic rate. Okay. So, and if we're talking about weight loss, so the metabolic rate is the thing which is the most important for weight loss, actually, because we cannot burn by exercise what we eat. Okay, if you calculate the amount of calories from whatever, yes, so it's not, we cannot burn, it's not for everyone. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you have to be like an endurance athlete to actually think that you will burn by exercise what you eat. So you cannot unrun your fork, basically. So what gives us the ability to lose weight is the basal metabolic rate. The rate of the metabolism of burning the body's input on a regular basis all throughout the day. And when we go to a plant-based diet, because the plant proteins are more different than animal proteins from the body proteins, the body takes longer and it takes more energy to digest and assimilate these ingredients. And then we raise the metabolic rate. Actually, we see that people who go on a whole food plant-based diet or vegan diet or a good vegetarian diet, they can raise the basal metabolic rate. Okay? And yeah. I recently published some, not article, but I just wrote a few things on the Facebook about the metabolism, because there are a lot of misconceptions about how to deal with it, how to calculate it. We cannot actually calculate it on a daily basis, and we cannot, these calorie counting methods of dieting and things like that, it's proven to be false and it doesn't work. Again, going to back to the concept, people think the body is a very simple equation, output, input. I drink something, I don't know, 500 calories, I go to the gym, I spend, I don't know, 1 hour running or something like that. I see on the monitor 500 calories, and they think they can make this, you know, calculations. It's absolutely false. It's a very like a basic and childish kind of way of thinking. The body is very, very complex. Sometimes when we do calorie restriction, for example, going the other way, when people eat not enough of calories on a daily basis, the body will downplay the basal metabolic rate. So the metabolic rate will go down because the body sees, okay, there's not enough resources, we cannot output so much energy, so we're going to take down, the basal metabolic rate. And then the people don't lose weight. When they start eating, they regain the weight very, very fast, because they input normally or less than normal, but the basal metabolic rate is much lower. So they're burning less energy, okay, in very simple terms, than what they're putting in. And then they have this rebound effect after they lose a lot of weight. They gain everything back many times if the diet is not good, the lifestyle changes are not concrete, or not done under good medical supervision. And then the people are very frustrated because it's very difficult emotionally, mentally for the body. All these changes are like wreaking havoc on the body system. So water, vinegar, sorry, going back to the vinegar. So it's very beneficial for people who want to lose weight to add any kind of vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is very good if you go and buy the unpasteurized one containing all the elements and not the clear type. That's the best one, that has the best active one. It has all the benefits, it's a whole package. Again, it's much more holistic as a package. So that's very good to add to a daily regime, to add some vinegar. Also for recovery from exercise, vinegar was shown to be beneficial. So many things, so many things.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience, maybe?
We have a comment from the audience. Someone has mentioned that we might want to just be a little careful with the ACV so that we don't allow it to sit on our teeth very long.
What is it? Sorry?
Someone has mentioned from the audience that we should be careful with when we're consuming apple cider vinegar, not to let it just stay on the teeth, to drink it quickly and then maybe rinse the mouth out right afterwards, because it would cause, some enamel erosion if you're just sipping on it too long. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a good point. Anything that which is, let's say, not neutral. Water has a neutral pH. Okay, it's very user-friendly for the body, but the body can assimilate it very easily when we drink normal water. And when we add things like coffee or alcohol, it gets very acidic on the pH scale. So the body needs to compensate that and bring it to the normal pH the body works in. And every system has a different pH. I don't want to get too much into it. But of course, when we subject any tissue of the body to something which is extreme in pH, so we have a negative reaction. If we have some acid or base dripping on the skin, it will burn the skin, of course. So anything which has a pH which is not around the neutral 7, okay, number pH 7, which is neutral. Anything which is not around that, like any acid or something like that, we have to, of course, take care and not expose some very specific part of the body to long-term exposure. So if we drink it, we mix it into the salad, we mix it into the water, okay? It will have the same effect because we're drinking the same substance. It will not be so, let's say, reactive to the body tissues.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I want to go back because I don't think I answered fully the question about dehydration. So some state of dehydration, if we're highly dehydrated, and let's say the body is already showing signs of stress, which means that we will not sweat even if it's hot outside, the heart rate will go up, the blood pressure will go down. Okay, so this is really like a severe dehydrated state. We need medical intervention and give IV fluids, because when there's not enough resources in the body, the body is stressed. So it starts shutting down things which are not necessary at that point. So the GI system, the gastrointestinal system, will shut down, meaning that it will not function normally, it will not absorb things normally when there are not enough resources. Okay, we will not sweat. That's another sign. Even if it's hot, if there is not enough water in the body will close this kind of system, and then the people are subject to having a heat stroke and problems like that, and not eliminating the toxin. It's very beneficial to sweat. So many products are made today against sweat, deodorant, things like that, which we try to use because maybe it's not socially acceptable. But sweating is such a basic and healthy kind of reaction to the environment. And we see that there's a lot of detoxification through sweat as well. People who do regular use of sauna in the northern countries in Europe, they have a very long established practice of going into a really hot sauna. And we see there's a lot of the detoxification happening there. Heavy metals, so many things go out through this process, which are very beneficial for the body. So some states of dehydration, you need medical intervention, and they become really life-threatening. And you have to replace the volume with the IV infusion. It's not possible to drink. At some point, the GI system will close. And even if I give the person water through the mouth and he drinks it, he will not be able to absorb it because this system is like shutting down because there's not enough resources available at that point. But that's a very extreme, I would say, situation. Usually the body gives a lot of feedback and warning signs. A big misunderstanding is that if I feel that my mouth is dry, that's the time to drink. Okay, people think that this is the good indication of when to drink. The dry mouth, again, it's a very late state of the process. Okay, and it's not something that we want to reach ever, because it's just saying again, the body doesn't have enough resources, and it starts pooling the resources around the vital organ, which are the kidneys, the lungs, the brain, the heart, and all the other things start shutting down from the outside towards the inside, the core, in order to keep the vital organs alive and functioning in a good state. So that's a protective mechanism in the body. We can see it acutely when people are losing blood. Okay, if someone is bleeding internally or externally, and the blood loss is significant, so we will see the effect very, very quickly. The skin will be pale, the person will not sweat, the heart rate will go up, the breathing will go up, the blood pressure will start going down. This is all mechanism that work to try to maintain the balance even with very little resources.
It's fascinating.
Well, Dr. Goldberg, I think you have really outlined how it is that water is the natural harmonizer and painkiller. And I just, before we wrap things up, would love to open things up for our audience. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to ask Dr. Goldberg a question, come on screen with us, say hello, ask your question, and allow him to give us one of his fabulous answers. Anyone gonna take us up on that offer? I see Rita in the audience. Maureen, Lauren, either of you? BW, Beverly?
Maybe people are a little bit shy, and that's understandable. Maybe we will have another options and another like a webinar timing to do again, and we can
would love that.
you may feel more comfortable. I always prefer to answer direct questions than just rant and give my, you know, 2 cents about things, because things are very, very specific to the people. If anyone wants to get you change something, it has to be very specific to them. And it's very, very difficult to give very broad general guidelines. Everyone can do it, but then you have to go to the micromanagement and see what is the patient's condition, so many factors that affect, to give a concrete answer. It's very difficult to say, you know, okay, whole food plant-based diet, of course, that's the best, okay? But then you have to see what the people are eating. If they're eating only one thing all the time, you know, and they have some condition. So it's something that has to be very, very like custom made for the person. So I always like some personal questions or some things like that. We can talk, you know, about real world scenarios and not just, you know, theory and something in the air.
Well, I think we would love to have you back to further the conversation around fasting, because
Definitely.
one of the things that we didn't really get to was the conversation around intermittent fasting versus the long-term fasting that you can go through. So
yes, yes, yeah. I have this idea of making again some short presentation and article about the fasting. I wanted to start with something more basic, and I think that a lot of people are missing the point of drinking enough water, because you can have amazing effects without changing anything else. I'm not saying that you should not change. I'm just saying that if you implement this advice and just drink more water, the effects were fantastic, and the body will do its miracles and show you how better life can be. Yeah, going into other things, it's again, is going to some niche or some kind of very specific things. I think it's not for everyone. Again, drinking more water can benefit anyone, you know, and the quality of life will be much better. And what we touched upon is very, very just the tip of the iceberg, what I wrote in the article and what we're discussing now. If anyone wants to read more about it, so Dr. Batman Gelich's books are fascinating, and I think he was such an inspiration and a great doctor to his patients, because he was so basic, you know. It's very easy, okay? I can give some drug, I can give some effect. The person is coming to the ER with high blood pressure. I give him one drug and the blood pressure drops, you know, and it's very dramatic, okay? But it's like it's not a health, you know. Health is something that we do every day. The maintenance is much more important than dealing with the extreme situations, and what we do every day will contribute to our health or ill health. So it's very important to have a good lifestyle. That will keep you away from us doctors in the ER or some other settings.
well, thank you for that. I think it's really refreshing to talk with a doctor like you who is really part of this, I think, Hippocrates philosophy as to, you know, do no harm and to help people. And helping is the longevity, you know, and the quality of life. So thank you for that. Thank you for your work. And I know that we are going to have a continued conversation on all of this. Thank you, Lisa, for guiding us through this conversation, for asking some amazing questions. And thank you to all of our audience. As Dr. Goldberg said, he did a paper. We've actually added it to, and we'll be adding it to his page on the website. But in the first email, the challenge email, you will find a link to that paper. And stay with us. Come back again next week when we have the next doctor on, because your health is our mission. And as Lisa mentioned in the beginning, our vision is to really support those of us who are going through this journey and adopting this new lifestyle. And if you're already on the journey and continuing it, we're going to give you things to help you to bring others onto this journey as well. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Invite your friends. Our special is going on through the end of October, where you will be able to secure access to the premium membership for a full 6 months. And so do share the information. We'd love to have more people to join us, more great questions to be asked. Thank you, Dr. Goldberg. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Dr. Goldberg. It's great to see you again.
You too. Take care.
You too.
All right, everyone. Good night. Until next week. Watch for your email on Saturday to find out the next challenge of the week.
Looking forward.
Thanks. All right. Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.